Everyone, and warmly welcome to today's webinar about the School of Electrical Engineering and Computer Science at KTH, Stockholm, Sweden. In today's webinar, we will talk about our programs, research areas, student life, and future career. My name is Alexandra Layton, and I will guide you through this webinar together with Associate Professor Marcus Hidell, Student Ambassador Bharat Kumar. Later on, we will also have a special guest, Associate Professor Jana Tumova. And remember that during this webinar, we have student ambassadors and KTH staff helping us and chatting with you. So let's start. Marcus Hidell, what are you doing at KTH?
Thank you very much for the introduction, Alexandra. I am the Deputy Director of First and Second Cycle of Education at the School of EECS, Electrical Engineering and Computer Science. Moreover, I am responsible for integration of sustainable development into our education, as well as for internationalization of our education programs. I'm also an Associate Professor in Communication Systems, which means that I do teaching and I do research. My current research interests revolve around Internet of Things and energy-efficient networking. And I teach courses like Networks and Communication, Advanced Internet Networking, Internet Security and Privacy, and so on.
And Bharat, you're a second-year student at KTH. Why did you choose KTH?
Hi everyone, and thank you for inviting me for this webinar. I'm Bharat from Madurai, India, and I'm a second-year master's student at Communication Systems at KTH. There were lots of reasons to choose KTH, and the flexibility to choose your own courses, and all the courses are taught in English. And Sweden being tolerant to English-speaking people was the main reason for me to choose KTH.
And we are very happy to have you here.
Thank you.
To start, Marcus, could you tell us a little bit more about the KTH vision?
Absolutely. KTH's vision is research and education for a brighter tomorrow. Now, KTH is one of Europe's leading technical universities, so we try to attract the best teachers, the best researchers, and the best students to aim for supreme quality in education, research, and outreach. KTH can actually be seen as a custodian of technology. Now, we have 4 core values, or pillars, as we refer to them at KTH, and the president of KTH has appointed 1 vice president each for these important areas.
Let's move and talk a little bit about our school, which went through a significant change a few years ago when 3 schools merged into 1, making us the biggest school at KTH. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, absolutely. Let me first say that our school conducts research and education within electrical engineering, computer science, and information and communication technology. Now, EECS is a rather new school, but the subject has roots all the way back to the previous century, to the beginning of the previous century. Now, EECS was founded on January 1st, 2018, as a merge between the Schools of Electrical Engineering, Schools of Computer Science, and School of Information and Communication Technology. And the school here, EECS, was merged with the declared intent of solving the challenges, the societal challenges of the future.
That sounds very interesting, and in this slide makes me very happy. Tell us a little bit more about the ranking numbers.
Yes, we are very proud of our rankings. Currently we are ranked number 18 according to the QS subject ranking in electrical engineering and number 42 in computer science. And all the staff at the school work really hard to continuously improve these ranking numbers, which are very important for an academic institution.
But how would you say how important is this ranking numbers for students applying to KTH?
Absolutely, yes. For students, the ranking is the most important thing. And from where I come from, both parents and students look into the ranking first before selecting the university. And I see our school as one of the best ranking now.
Marcus, could you also tell us a little bit more about our subjects at our school?
Yes, absolutely. Let us spend some time on our subjects and our programs here at the School of EECS. So we have 2 main fields of study at the second cycle for our master programs, and that is electrical engineering and computer science. It's really exciting to have these 2 areas under the same roof, since there is an enormous need for engineers and researchers with the knowledge and competence from both these different areas. And most likely, it will remain like that for the foreseeable future. So our research and teaching activities in electrical engineering and computer science also makes it possible for us to address societal challenging by creating new knowledge in the borderline between these areas. And that is really exciting and a great opportunity for the School of EECS. So our education, it spans over several different fields, and it's sorted under our 4 departments: electrical engineering, intelligent systems, computer science, and human-centered technology. So all the courses that we give are managed by these different departments, while the programs that we're going to talk more about today, they are managed at the school level, where I have a sort of a coordinating role.
Okay. And how is it in your program?
Yes, my course is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
My course consists of lectures, seminars, lab works, and projects. Most of the theory is always complemented with the apt project work, and our final grade has composed of both the project work and our final examination. And we have 3 tracks in our school, which is in my program, which is the wireless communication, networking, and security. And I have personally opted for the wireless track. All my courses are about 7.5 credits, which is actually a full-time study. And I also advise all the students to plan their schedule well, so they could ace their program in the future.
So when I'm browsing our webpage looking for the program of interest, what will I find, Marcus?
Well, this is probably what you will find when you start exploring our program offering on the KTH web. All our 19 master's programs listed in alphabetic order. So what can we do in this webinar to help you navigate through this offering of ours? Well, first of all, I can start to try to structure the information for you a little bit. So on this slide over here, we have electrical engineering and computer science, our 2 main fields of study. And on the left-hand side, you see the 4 programs that will result in a degree in electrical engineering. On the right-hand side, you have the programs that will result in a degree in computer science. In the middle here, we have 4 programs that are a little bit in the borderline between these 2 areas. So they could result in a degree in either electrical engineering or computer science, depending on what specialization track the students pursue within these programs.
So Bharat, how do you recognize yourself in this structure?
Yes, as you can see, my program is exactly in the middle, the communication systems. So a student can either lean towards the electrical aspect or the computer science aspect of the program. Even during the thesis or final degree project, a student can either choose an electrical degree project or a CS degree project based on his interest and the track he chooses.
For the observant student, notices that in the previous slide we had 19 programs, and in this one we only have 13. So what are the other programs?
That's a very good question, and it's very observant. Well, the other programs are all European university collaborations based on student mobility. So typically students following these programs, they take first year in one of the universities and the second year in another part of the university. So most of these programs are different EIT programs. EIT is the European Institute of Innovation and Technology. It's a large European collaboration integrating business, education, and research. So in the area of EIT InnoEnergy, which addresses sustainable energy at its priority area, we have 4 different programs that are offered by 4 European universities together. And those are the one on the left-hand side on the slide here. In the middle we have ICT Innovation, which is an EIT digital program, which means that there is a focus on innovation and entrepreneurship. And this program is offered by 17 European universities together, so it's a quite large collaboration there. And then on the right-hand side, we have Security and Cloud Computing, which is an Erasmus Mundus program in the field of computer science, offered by 6 European universities together. So the very observant listener now sees that ICT Innovation was listed both as a KTH program and as a joint master program, and that brings us to an interesting opportunity for you. So those of you who are interested in this area or its specialization tracks can actually apply to it both through the KTH admission system and through the European admission system, 2 different separate admission systems, and that is likely to increase the chances to get access to the education that you're interested in.
Got it. So when it comes to specializations within the programs, is there anything specifically you should think about?
Yes,
as a student,
yes, it is. In this webinar, we will not really be able to go into all the details of each individual program. However, it is important to understand and to be aware of that there are specializations within each programs, at least for the very majority of them. And when you study the program descriptions, you do it carefully when you get to this point in your selection process, so that you know that you select a program where you actually want to specialize in a certain area. That is going to be important for you. So in these following 3 slides, starting with this one, we have listed the specialization within each program together with the 3 sustainable development goals as defined by UN that relates or are relevant to each program. And so on this slide here we have the 4 programs in the electrical engineering area. On the second one, we see the programs on the borderline between electrical engineering and computer science. And here is where we, for instance, find communication systems where Bharat is studying. So perhaps you would like to say a few words about why you selected this program and what courses you are studying.
Yes, absolutely. I actually took this program because of the variety it offers me. I was particularly interested in the area of telecommunications, but this program also gave me the opportunity to venture into the field of networking and security with few courses like advanced internet networking and internet security and privacy. But then after the mandatory courses, a student can select his own track, and I chose the wireless track. But apart from that, KTH allows a student to choose his own courses during electives. I was interested in entrepreneurship, so I also got the chance to select entrepreneurship course. And a KTH student can choose any course that is interested in until and unless it falls on the rules and regulations of KTH.
Okay, thank you. So on the third slide here, you see the programs in the computer science area. And here I just would like to take the opportunity that I'm very glad to mention that as of 2022, we have a brand new program in cybersecurity.
Well, this sounds really interesting, and I'm so glad to hear of your thoughts of why you chose your program. And now let's discuss something crucial for our world and society, which is digitalization and sustainability. And that sustainability is not just a trendy term at KTH. The picture you can see here is of the Mischista Mentor Space, which is an open environment where knowledge sharing between people is the primary function. All participants in the mentor space exchange knowledge to enhance their personal and intellectual growth. And the exchange of expertise includes the connections of that person to others in academia, business and community, so-called triple helix. And so this is one of many hands-on ways to show the sustainable practice of knowledge. Which other ways do we work with sustainability, equality and digitalization, Marcus?
Yes, as you say, digitalization and sustainable development are 2 of the pillars upon which KTH rests here. As we mentioned earlier in the presentation, the other 2 are internationalization and equality. So at the School of ECS, we continuously work with the integration of sustainability and equality into our education programs. So our goal here is to have a broad and deep offering of courses with learning objectives, learning activities and assessment regarding sustainable development and equality. And such learning activities could, for instance, be practical work in the mentor space.
But we also know that the last 2 years have been a test for teachers and students to work digitally. So how have KTH handled this situation and these challenges?
Yes, sustainability and digitalization, they often go hand in hand. For instance, our teachers basically have been living and breathing digitalization since we were forced to very quickly switch over to digital online education when the COVID-19 pandemic broke out some year and a half ago. So the staff at KTH has made enormous efforts to maintain high quality education under all the COVID-19 restrictions that we have been living with for such a long time. So now, during this fall, we are basically completely back to campus with our activities. But during the close down of the campuses, we have learned so much about digitalization and online activities and assessment. So we are not really going back to the same situation that we had before the pandemic broke out. We would like to make use of everything that we have learned when it comes to digital and online learning activities, and we would like to bring that to the future education of ours. So whenever this can lead to increased quality and increased experience or improved experience. So we are coming back to the future here.
This is really interesting. And Bharat, how would you say that this affected your studies?
Yes, initially in the few months of my course, I had all my courses on campus, but later due to the pandemic, it was completely shifted online. But then KTH planned it in such a way that despite being online, it was very much as interactive as possible, and even the professors were available for queries later, and all the mandatory lab courses were organized with utmost precaution. But now, luckily, all the courses are on campus, and I'm so happy to be on the lecture halls back now. But then, as Marcus told, the learnings of the digitalization was imparted, is carried on, and we students are so happy with it because we are also getting used to the digitalization, and we are so happy with what's been happening now.
And how would you say that you work with sustainable development in your programs?
Yes, KTH and Sweden is all about sustainability, both in lifestyle and education. Most of my courses has some topics related to sustainability always, and then even the professors actually force us to be more sustainable during a project works, and even while choosing a degree projects, our topics are supposed to be sustainable and we are supposed to be sustainable engineers as much as possible, and we as students also take this as a challenge and be as sustainable as possible and uphold the values of KTH.
Thank you. With around 50 research teams working within the environment and sustainable development, KTH operations act as a driving force within this shift by improving, developing, analyzing and evaluating societies and the industry's resources, of course. Marcus, could you tell us a little bit more about the School of Electrical Engineering and Computer Science research and how it relates to sustainable development?
Sure. Our education and our master's programs, they are closely related to the research that we do, giving students access to new knowledge and research methods. So EECS spans over so many different subjects, and the research in electrical engineering and computer science often contributes to the sustainable development through different innovations and applications. So there are several areas where we do internationally prominent research at the School of EECS, such as energy systems, electronics, communication systems, software development and computer science. We are of course not able to cover all the EECS research here today, but a couple of specific research examples are actually depicted here on the slide. For instance, we have the fur hat there. That is a social robot making unbiased recruitments. There is new synthetic plastic materials for cancer treatment directly into the cancer cell. There is 5G networks and their security. We are working on components heading for Mercury to investigate the magnetosphere around that planet. And there are robots being able to follow the movements of and commands of human in real time. And also here you can find Smart Grid Gotland, the world's smartest electricity network.
And I mean, this must mean that we need very demanding and engaging in the research environments. Could you mention some of those
yes,
at KTH?
Sure. The school has access to many excellent research environments, and several of them are really one of a kind. Some examples here are the Smart Mobility Lab, the X-Trap Fusion Reactor, the Visualization Studio, the Robotics Lab. There is also a PDC Center for High Performance Computing and an Electron Laboratory for Semiconductors.
And Bharat, have you visited any of these research environments?
Yes, I visited the Electron Laboratory once, but due to the COVID restrictions, I was not able to visit the others. But I assure students that they will be given the freedom and opportunity to visit any of those laboratories, aligning with their interest and their program.
And we do also have two key infrastructure at KTH, one of them being the supercomputer. Can you tell us a little bit more about the supercomputer, Marcus?
Yes, the supercomputer is one of the fastest academic supercomputing systems in Scandinavia. The number of floating point operations this machine can perform per second is truly impressive. It's 2.5 petaflops, and one petaflop is 10 to the power of 15 floating point operations per second. So the supercomputer, you can actually see it there on the left-hand upper side of the slide. Its name is Beskow, after the famous Swedish author Elsa Beskow. Among other things, she wrote very popular stories for children. So if you look carefully on the photograph on the slide, you can actually see pictures of the different themes from some of her books.
You can see that, and it looks very beautiful. Thank you so much, Marcus. Now I would like to introduce a special guest, Associate Professor Jana Tumova. We're so happy to have you here. Jana, could you please tell us a little bit about yourself and why you chose KTH and your career here? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alexandra, for having me. My name is Jana, I come from Czechia, and my path to KTH was not really straightforward. I did my bachelor's and master's and PhD in theoretical computer science, focusing on formal methods back at home in Czechia, but I traveled around a little bit and I did my Erasmus exchange in the Netherlands. I spent some time at Boston University and MIT. I even lived in Singapore for a little bit. And then I landed a postdoc here in Stockholm, exploiting all I know about formal methods and exploring new topics in multi-robot coordination. I loved it here, so I decided to stay. And my research is evolving around two big questions. How do we tell robots what to do, and how do we ensure that they behave as intended? I'm a researcher at the Division of Robotics Perception and Learning, where I hang out with people and robots. I collaborate with people all around the world and mentor students. And when I'm not researching, I'm teaching. And you can meet me, for instance, in the artificial intelligence course, where we challenge students in fishing derby.
Oh, and what kind of robots and applications do you work with?
So we work with autonomous driving, for instance. There we ask the question, how can we make the cars drive from some start to a goal destination and follow the road rules, and at the same time be comfortable for our passengers. And another application that we work with is, for instance, multi-robot coordination in office-like environments. We have a team of robots that are there to help people with fetching different kind of things, putting things together with mundane tasks. So in all of these applications, we are using temporal logics and formal methods to answer those two big questions: the how do we tell robots what to do, and how do we ensure that they do that. And that framework with temporal logics and formal methods is really beautiful because it comes with many benefits, one of them being that it can design automatically or correct by design plan if such plan exists. That is a plan that provably accomplishes your goals and it's automatically synthesized. So that is very pretty, but it doesn't work like that always. Sometimes when you drive on the road, you cannot really follow the road rules. When there is an obstacle, you don't really have a plan that follows the road rules and goes by the obstacle. So at that moment, you need to say something like, I'm going to violate the road rules. You do not say, abort mission, there is no correct by design plan. So we violate the road rules for a little bit and then return to following them. And that's one of the big challenges that we are trying to address, the no plan challenge. Some more challenges are about model. Sometimes we do not have good models of our robots, and then we need to use data, and the question is how to have these provable guarantees when we have data. And then of course there is the interaction challenge, because all of these robots, they do not live in vacuum. They interact with each other, they interact with people. There's a lot of uncertainty, and then brings very many research challenges to us. So it's a huge field.
Wow, that is so interesting. And talking about robots, you brought a robot with you. Tell us a little bit more about she.
So it is a now robot. It came to us from France, and it is being used in some of the courses and summer schools that are being offered here at ECS. But it is also being used in social robotics studies, for instance, focusing on how gendering robot, as he or she, may influence its perception by people, or how we can subvert harmful trends in gendered AI and ultimately, hopefully, reduce underrepresentation in computing subjects through such ideas.
Especially when equality is very important here at KTH, to have those glasses on as well. Does anyone have any questions for Jana regarding her research?
Yes, I have a question. Your research sounds pretty interesting. So can you please tell us what program or courses should a student choose in order to work or do research in your field of interest?
That's a great question. So I think the obvious choice is systems, controls and robotics, where is a large selection of robotic subjects. But the really beautiful thing about robotics is that it's such a broad field, and it's extremely successful in adopting techniques from very many different fields. So you can find use for machine learning, for software engineering, for all sorts of things there. So I would say that systems, controls and robotics is the perfect starting point, but regardless where you start, you can find your way to robotics just like I did.
I'm sure everyone can. Thank you, Jana.
Thank you so much. And here actually comes one of my favorite slides, career after KTH. And as you know, KTH is a very attractive at the labor market, having been studying here. And we actually have one of our campuses which is located in what we called the Silicon Valley of Europe, with over 1,000 companies within the ICT area. And as we already spoken about, our students' career starts when they start at KTH. 50% have a job before graduating or start their own company. And we have also, the students also have 1 year to either find a job or to think about their PhD studies, which 20% of our students do. In the picture here, you can see Gustav Södertörn and Paulina Modlipta. Gustav is Chief and R&D Officer at Spotify, and Paulina is Consultant Strategy in Digital Communication. Both of them have been nominated to the, are Alumn of the Year at KTH. So Jana, was it clear for you to choose a career within the academia?
You know what, Alexandra, it was not so clear to me all the way, maybe till the last year of my PhD. But I have to say, I have no regrets. I love every bit of it. I love the freedom of exploring blue sky ideas and meeting and mentoring young people every day. It's very rewarding.
And what about you, Marcus? Was it clear for you?
No, just like for Jana, it wasn't that clear all the time. Even though I have been here at KTH for a very long time, I also do have some experience from outside the walls here. As a PhD student at KTH back in the 90s, I was involved in a spin-off of a startup company in the late 90s. We started and built this company for several years with international venture capital. And we commercialized network research results of ours from the PhD studies, actually. Thereafter, I went back to KTH, finished off my PhD, and I later became an associate professor here.
Interesting. And we also do, to facilitate the work for our students, have a degree project fair every year. And in this fair, we have about 70 companies and research groups attending. And 20% of our students actually get their job through the degree project fair. But what degree project do you have in mind?
Yes, this year the degree project fair was amazing and I got the chance to visit it. And due to it, I got 2 interviews with companies. And I have been offered a thesis in the domain RF energy harvesting for IoT devices, and I'm very proud of that, and I'm looking forward to work in that thesis. Yeah.
But you also do some work for THD Armada. Can you tell us what that is?
Yes, sure. I work as the head of HR in THS Armada. To give a small background, THS Armada is a student-run organization at KTH, and we organize around the biggest career fair in Scandinavia. So in 2019, we had around 150 companies visiting us, making it the largest fair in Scandinavia. And me being a part of Armada has given me a lot of leadership skills, and I got to be with the Swedish work culture and meet a lot of new international friends, and it actually developed me a lot as a person. And I also take this opportunity to tell that the prospective students can also visit the virtual fair happening on November 23 and 24, and all they have to do is go to the armada.nu website and register themselves for the virtual fair, and they get the chance to chat with companies, attend the video conferences, breakout sessions, and they can also maybe land a job with some of the top companies in Sweden. So this would be a good opportunity for them to have a sneak peek what are the careers at Sweden.
Thank you. And now we are doing a quick look at your student life.
Yes,
tell us a little bit more about that.
Sure, definitely. This is the most exciting and fun part of my life in Stockholm. So as you can see, there are a few pictures of me and my friends holding an Indian flag. That was because we actually landed in Stockholm during the Independence Day of India. And it was quite a moment for us, and we had a friend with the Indian flag, and that was the photo of it. And there are a few photos of my accommodation in Lapis. It's a very good place where you can meet lots of international students and have fun with them, go to a lot of parties and learn a lot of culture and traditions. And then you can see my cozy little room, and that's pretty good. And then you could see me going hiking with some friends. So I could also point out that there's other organization called THS Main from KTH, and those people strive to organize lots of activities for the new incoming students, and also they organize activities throughout the year for international students, so we feel at home and we have lots of friends to be with and not lonely. And then you have a few photos from the Christmas of the Stockholm, where you could see the Christmas lights of reindeers and stuff. And then there are a few photos of Swedish winter, and this is my first experience with snow. I haven't been in snow before, and as a kid, I actually made a snowman with carrots and twigs. It was pretty fun. And I also went to ice skating, which was again organized by THS Main. So everything's for free. They take a lot of effort to organize that, And they also taught me to ice skate. I fell down a couple of times, but then here you go of me giving a pose. And then a beautiful picture of Stockholm with the sun, where the snow melts during end of winter. Very good picture. And finally, me standing proudly in front of KTH after the restrictions. I could show off that I belong to KTH, and I'm really proud of that. And then me with few friends doing a part-time job, delivering parcels with e-bikes. And our plan was to eliminate diesel vans and go to the sustainable way of the future. So we help a company deliver parcels with e-bikes. And then there's a photo of me in cherry blossom period. It's the wonderful time in Stockholm, I would say. And it's pretty close to KTH, where you could see all the trees turn pink. And maybe if you want a profile photo, it's the best place to go to. And then finally, I have a kayaking photo, which I went with my teammates with Armada. And they had organized a summer camping trip where we went kayaking to Archipelago, and we did hiking and camping, and we cooked our own food. That was pretty much experience. And I also assure you that Stockholm has a lot to offer, and it's a very beautiful city. So all the students who come here really enjoy a lot. You get lots of friends here. We have a lot of international students here. So we'll make sure that your life goes pretty well in Stockholm.
Yeah, I must say that we are really happy to hear that you are really enjoying your time here. So, Jonna, would you say that you have similar experiences with your student life?
Yeah, yes, those pictures brought a lot of fun memories. So decorating the room, meeting new friends, part-time jobs, it's all part of that. And I also remember a lot of barbecues and potluck dinners. That was significant for me back then. Yeah.
Really good. And then we have also, in addition to Baraf, other student ambassadors within all of our programs. And you will find them at the KTH web, so feel free to contact them anytime. Like I mentioned in the beginning, our student ambassadors are managing our chat on the website right now. So please go and chat with them live if you have any questions about our programs. Bharat, what are the most common questions you receive as a student ambassador?
The most common question I receive from prospective students is about the entry requirements, which is being clearly stated in all of the program sites in KTH. I also get questions regarding the job opportunities, the student life, and also how the programs and courses have been scheduled. So these are the most common questions I receive.
So now we are here. How do we apply to study at KTH? Well, first of all, you need to choose your program and apply for the University Admission Platform in Sweden, which opens for applications in mid-October, so it's already open. Be sure to check the admission requirements for your preferred program and found under each program at the KTH website. And after that, you should submit your application by the 17th of January and also apply for KTH scholarships by this time. Have all your submit documents by the 1st of February, pay the application fee by the 1st of February, and if you need to apply for SI scholarships, do that as well between the 10th to the 28th of February. In April, you will receive your selection results. Baraf, how did you experience the application process?
Yes, for me the application process was very easy, and to be frank, it was the most easiest I've ever applied to among all other universities. As Alexandra told, it's a common portal, university admissions, where you have to apply to all the universities in Sweden, and it's very straightforward, and it's all digitalized, and they've given adequate time and deadlines for you to apply. And I also advise all the students to apply way before deadline, so at the end, in the hurry-burry, they don't forget the important documents they need to submit. So I would really advise all the students to have some time before the deadline where they apply.
We are coming to an end about this webinar about the School of Electrical Engineering and Computer Science. I want to let you know that we still have an hour open for chats, and our student ambassadors and staff from KTH are here to answer all your questions. If you're interested in any other subjects at KTH, you should register for upcoming webinars. There is one for each subject area coming up, as you can see here. And during each webinar, you can also have a chat session where you can chat with students at KTH and staff from the admissions office, closer to the application deadline, and which you can also see in this slide. And you can find the chat and all this information on KTH website on kth.se/meet. Thank you so much, Baraf, Marcus, and Jonna, and thank you for joining us today. So, Marcus, would you like to say a few words?
Yes, I would. Thank you so much for your attention. It has been a true pleasure to have you here in the EECS webinar. I hope that you now feel a little bit more familiar with our school, with our research, our education, and the student life. So warmly welcome here, and thank you very much for attending.
Goodbye, everyone.